Chapter 1. Control your mind before the chaos controls you. It starts the moment life throws you off balance. The unexpected call. The sudden crisis. The moment when the world seems to accelerate faster than your ability to think. Stress is not an abstract concept. Stress is a predator. It doesn't wait for your permission. It strikes first, before you even realize you're in danger. The moment you react before thinking, chaos has won. The moment you pause, breathe, and act with intention, you take control. Pause. Breathe. Act. Say it again. Repeat it. Etch it into your mind. It is the single mantra that will save your career, your relationships, your very life when everything else seems to collapse. The real question is not whether stress exists. It does. Stress is inevitable. It's unavoidable. The question is, who controls it? Who masters it? Winners, by definition, do not let stress dictate their decisions. They do not react. They respond. And that difference, reacting versus responding, is where ordinary people fall apart and extraordinary people rise. Consider the example of Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. When he took over in 2014, the company was stagnant, under pressure from competitors like Google and Amazon. A CEO under stress could have panicked, fired executives, made rash acquisitions. But Nadella did something different. He paused. He studied. He allowed himself to feel the pressure without succumbing to it. His response: transform Microsoft's culture, embrace cloud computing, and pivot with purpose. His calm under pressure was not luck. It was practice. It was discipline. It was conscious mastery over the mind before chaos could take the reins. It's easy to say, stay calm, but harder to do when the world screams at you. The more important issue is understanding why the mind reacts so destructively under pressure. Neuroscience tells us that in high-stress situations, the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, can hijack the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning and judgment. This is not theory, it is biology. When that happens, you do not make decisions. You react. You lash out. You freeze. You panic. You lose. The problem is not the external chaos. It is the internal surrender. Far from being weak, pausing is powerful. It is counterintuitive. The world praises the fast, the reactive, the move first, think later mentality. But the elite understand a different truth. Speed without control is suicide. The fastest person in the room often collapses first. The person who controls their mind first, who pauses to breathe and assess, walks away victorious. Elite athletes know this better than anyone. Imagine a tennis player facing a break point in Wimbledon. The crowd is screaming. Every muscle is tight. The adrenaline surges. What separates a champion from an also-ran is not skill alone. It's the ability to take a mental pause. Novak Djokovic, in his own words, says, "I always remind myself to stay in the moment, breathe, reset, and then play the point." He doesn't react to the score, the crowd, or the opponent's behavior. He responds deliberately. Pause. Breathe. Act. And here's the secret that most people overlook. The pause is not passive. The pause is not avoidance. The pause is preparation. It is a conscious choice to reclaim authority over your own mind. It's a mental reset button that says, I am not a victim of circumstance. I am the master of my response. Once you understand this, everything changes. The chaos outside is no longer the enemy. The enemy is your untrained reaction. And when you train your mind, the predator loses. Practical steps. Let's make this actionable. How do you actually control your mind before the chaos controls you? First, acknowledge the signal. Your body gives it away before your mind does. Rapid heartbeat, tension in shoulders, shallow breathing, a racing mind. Recognition is the first step. Second, intervene physically. Slow your breath. Box breathing works. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Third, impose a mental command. Repeat your mantra. Pause. Breathe. Act. Fourth, assess before responding. Ask yourself, what is my objective? What outcome do I want? Not because the situation demands a reaction, but because you are demanding clarity from yourself. Fifth, execute deliberately, not impulsively. Make your move. Controlled, precise, intentional. Don't just take my word for it. Look at the world's top negotiators. Chris Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator and author of Never Split the Difference, describes the same principle. You must control yourself first before you can control the conversation. When hostages are involved, seconds count, but panic destroys the possibility of negotiation. Calm, deliberate responses save lives. The principle is universal. In business, sports, relationships, or life itself, those who master the pause dominate. Those who do not, collapse. It's not about avoiding stress. It's about embracing control. It's not about removing chaos. It's about becoming unshakable within it. If we don't practice this discipline, then we risk repeating the mistakes that destroy careers, opportunities, and relationships. Stress will hijack your decisions, and regret will follow. But if we do cultivate it, we gain clarity, authority, and power. The difference between reacting and responding is not subtle. It is life-altering. You might think this requires meditation retreats, months of therapy, or spiritual enlightenment. In reality, it requires practice, awareness, and repetition. Pause. Breathe. Act. Say it while driving. Say it in meetings. Say it in arguments. Embed it so deeply that your nervous system learns that calm is default and chaos is temporary. Just as a soldier trains for the battlefield, so too must you train your mind for the unpredictability of life. Remember, control is contagious. When you maintain your calm, others follow your lead. When you respond, rather than react, you influence outcomes rather than become a victim of them. Leaders understand this intuitively. Calmness is authority. Chaos is weakness. This chapter is about the foundation. You now understand that stress is not your enemy. Your unmanaged reaction is. You've seen the examples: Satya Nadella, Novak Djokovic, Chris Voss. You've learned the technique: identify, breathe, command, execute. And you've absorbed the mantra that will underpin every decision you make moving forward: pause, breathe, act. The more you repeat it, the more it becomes instinctive. The more instinctive it becomes, the less chaos can ever control you. You have mastered your first step, controlling your mind. The predator of stress is now tamed. The next question, the next layer, is even more critical. Chapter 2. Your reactions shape your destiny. Whether you like it or not, the truth is simple. Your reactions are not small, isolated events. They are dominoes. One reaction triggers another. One careless word, one impatient action, one emotional explosion, and your entire trajectory shifts. Not because the world is unfair, but because most people allow their instincts to dictate outcomes. Winners, on the other hand, understand a fundamental law of life. React, and you lose. Respond, and you win. Repeat it. Say it aloud. This is not a suggestion. It is a principle that governs every high-stakes scenario in human existence. The real question is not whether you face stress. It will come. It will always come. The question is, do you allow it to dictate your next move? Your reaction is the hinge upon which your life swings. The more important issue is recognizing that each reaction carries weight far beyond the moment. CEOs, athletes, diplomats, and leaders all understand this intuitively. It's why the calm almost always rise above the chaotic, even when they are outnumbered, outgunned, or outpressured. Consider Chris Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator and author of Never Split the Difference. He describes situations where seconds matter and emotions can end lives. He writes, "He who controls his own mind first controls the situation second." In a life-or-death negotiation, every reaction matters. An aggressive response, a sarcastic tone, a hint of impatience, it can endanger hostages, destroy leverage, and collapse negotiations. But a measured response, calm, deliberate, intentional, it creates control, power, and opportunity. This is not theory. It is life or death. Not only does your reaction influence immediate outcomes, but it also shapes long-term trajectories. Think about your career. A single angry email, a heated meeting, or a rash decision can alter your professional path. One misstep, one unfiltered reaction, and doors close. Not because the mistake defines your ability, but because your uncontrolled reaction signals weakness. Conversely, those who maintain composure, who respond rather than react, gain credibility, authority, and trust. They set trajectories that compound over time. You might think that staying calm in pressure-filled situations is natural or easy. In reality, it is deliberate, disciplined, and requires practice. Far from being passive, controlling your reactions is active mastery. You are choosing your future in every microsecond. Just as a chess grandmaster anticipates moves and plans responses, so too must you train your emotional responses. Pause before speaking. Measure before acting. Consider consequences before reacting. Repeat the mantra, react, and you lose. Respond, and you win. Let's break down practical strategies. Step 1. Recognition. Identify when your emotions are rising. Your body will tell you: clenched jaw, racing heart, shallow breathing, tension in shoulders. Step 2. Cognitive pause. In that moment, consciously remind yourself, this reaction is not the event, it is my choice. Step 3. Controlled response. Decide deliberately how you will act to create the outcome you want, not the outcome your emotion dictates. Step 4. Reflection. After the moment passes, review your reaction. Did it serve your objective? Could you have responded more deliberately? This feedback loop is essential for mastery. Consider extreme real-world examples beyond hostage negotiation. During the 2008 financial crisis, investors and CEOs faced unprecedented pressure. Those who panicked and sold off assets suffered catastrophic losses. Those who paused, analyzed, and responded strategically, like Warren Buffett, capitalized on opportunities. Buffett himself has said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." This is a disciplined response. Not impulsive. Not reactive. Deliberate. The difference between panic and response determines wealth, opportunity, and survival. It's easy to say, control your reactions, but harder to internalize when fear or anger grips you. The more important issue is that most people underestimate the compounding effect of uncontrolled reactions. They think a momentary outburst is inconsequential. In reality, every unmastered reaction is a brick in a wall that cages your potential. Every measured response is a step forward, a calculated move toward freedom, influence, and power. Not because life is always fair, but because life rewards those who respond rather than react. Consider elite athletes under pressure. LeBron James, in critical playoff moments, does not allow the roar of the crowd, the trash talk, or the ticking clock to dictate his actions. He responds deliberately, one play at a time, controlled, calculated, consistent. This is not luck, this is practice. This is discipline. This is the outcome of repeatedly choosing response over reaction. And let's address an uncomfortable truth. Most people never truly train their reactions. They assume instinct is sufficient. They assume emotion is a guide. They assume chaos will pass. Far from being sufficient, this mindset destroys potential. You might think you are prepared, but in reality, under true pressure, instinct alone will fail you. Emotional mastery is not optional. It is compulsory for anyone who wants control over their destiny. Here's another practical technique: visualization. Before high-stakes events, negotiations, presentations, confrontations, mentally rehearse possible scenarios and your measured responses. Predict triggers, anticipate pressure, and plan your controlled reactions. Olympians, military leaders, and Fortune 500 executives all use this method. Visualization primes your mind to respond, not react. It transforms instinct into intentional action. Remember, react, and you lose. Respond, and you win. No one can deny that emotions are powerful, but what's often overlooked is that they can be harnessed. Fear can sharpen focus if channeled deliberately. Anger can energize if controlled. Stress can motivate if directed consciously. This is about more than self-control. It's about shaping your life's trajectory with every choice you make under pressure. If we don't master our reactions, we surrender our destiny to circumstance. If we do, we claim it deliberately. Think about it. Every conversation, every decision, every interaction is a test. Will you let your raw emotion dictate your outcome, or will you pause, assess, and respond with authority? The answer determines everything. Careers, relationships, fortunes, and legacies hang on this one principle. It's not that pressure disappears when you train your reactions. It doesn't. It's that you become unshakable within it. You learn to navigate the chaos while others are drowning in it. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is not talent alone. It is response under pressure. Far from being a soft skill, reaction mastery is the cornerstone of power, influence, and freedom. So internalize this. Every reaction you make is a choice. Every choice shapes your future. React impulsively, and you surrender control. Respond deliberately, and you steer the course of your destiny. Repeat it. Etch it into your mind. React, and you lose. Respond, and you win. You have seen examples from negotiators, athletes, and investors. You have learned actionable steps. Recognize emotion. Pause. Deliberate. Execute. Reflect. You have understood that emotional mastery compounds over time, influencing both immediate outcomes and long-term destiny. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You are in command. Chapter 3. Anger is the enemy you invite in. Whether you like it or not, anger is not a fleeting emotion. It is a predator. It clouds judgment. It drains power. It turns the strongest mind into the weakest decision-maker. The real question is not whether you feel anger. It is inevitable, but whether you allow it to dictate your actions. Anger is a trap. Calm is freedom. Repeat it. Say it aloud. Let it anchor itself in your consciousness. Because the moment anger takes the driver's seat, you forfeit control, clarity, and often, your destiny. Anger is seductive. It promises immediate satisfaction, a word spoken, a retaliation taken, a slap of dominance. It feels powerful, even righteous. But far from being a weapon, it is a leash. It ties you to impulsive decisions, hasty words, and regrets that can last a lifetime. Not only does it consume energy, but it also blinds you. Historical leaders offer vivid lessons. Julius Caesar, by some accounts, allowed personal grudges to cloud judgment in key moments, leading to decisions that destabilized Rome. Napoleon Bonaparte, though brilliant, sometimes acted on emotion in crucial battles, costing his armies vital victories. Anger, unchecked, untrained, destroys more than it delivers. Not because anger is inherently evil, but because uncontrolled anger is undisciplined. The more important issue is recognizing its insidious nature. Anger never arrives alone. It invites poor decisions, rash words, and actions you cannot take back. If we don't control it, we risk sabotaging opportunities, relationships, and our own future. The better question is not, why do I get angry? But, what discipline will prevent anger from hijacking my life? It's easy to say, don't get angry, but harder to implement in moments of provocation. The more effective approach is not suppression, but mastery. Recognize it, accept it, and channel it. It's about deliberate control, not denial. This isn't passive stoicism. It's active, tactical command over yourself. Far from being weakness, restraint is power. Far from being submission, calmness is authority. Winston Churchill, during the dark days of World War II, did not allow frustration or rage to control his public decisions. His composed demeanor gave Britain stability. His ability to pause, analyze, and respond strategically exemplifies the power of controlling anger. Practical steps begin with awareness. Notice the early signs: tension in the jaw, a rapid heartbeat, a hot sensation in the chest, thoughts racing faster than reason. Recognition is your first weapon. Say internally, anger is a trap. Calm is freedom. Not as a wish, but as a command. Step 2. Physical regulation. Slow your breath. Focus on grounding sensations. Take a brief walk or micro-pause. Step 3. Cognitive reframe. Ask yourself, does this anger serve my objective, or does it enslave me? Step 4. Deliberate action. Only when the mind is stable, execute a response that moves the situation forward, rather than lashes backward. Don't just take my word for it. Look at real-world leaders and thinkers. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in Meditations, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it." His life was filled with provocations, rebellions, and betrayals. Yet he maintained composure, understanding that responding with discipline preserved power, authority, and moral clarity. Not reaction, but deliberate action. Not anger, but calm. Not impulsive, but strategic. The principle is clear. Those who master anger master their outcomes. Anger is not limited to historical giants. Everyday life is riddled with situations designed to trigger us. Colleagues, family members, customers, even strangers can push buttons. Whether you like it or not, your default reaction matters more than theirs. If you choose to respond with aggression, retaliation, or rash words, the consequences spiral. If you pause, breathe, and respond deliberately, you reclaim control, authority, and influence. This is about more than manners. It's about the currency of power in every interaction. Real-world example. Consider Abraham Lincoln. During the Civil War, he faced endless provocations, personal losses, political sabotage, and national chaos. Yet he maintained a deliberate, calm presence. When criticized harshly, he responded strategically, not angrily, often employing humor, empathy, and patience. Lincoln understood that uncontrolled anger could destroy not only his personal effectiveness but the fragile unity of the nation. Calm, controlled response became a tool of leadership. The physiological impact of anger is also critical. Science confirms that uncontrolled anger triggers the sympathetic nervous system, flooding the body with stress hormones, increasing heart rate, and impairing judgment. Decision-making falters. Short-term rage can lead to long-term health consequences. Far from being mere emotion, anger is a biological threat to both mind and body. Mastery, therefore, is both a strategic and a survival imperative. Techniques to control anger are straightforward but require practice. Visualization is powerful. Imagine provocations and rehearse calm, deliberate responses. Journaling allows reflection and identification of triggers. Micropauses, literally counting to 3 before speaking, enable cognitive control. And repetition of the mantra, anger is a trap. Calm is freedom, rewires the mind over time. Just as muscles strengthen with repetition, so too does emotional control. It's not that anger disappears with practice. It doesn't, but it becomes manageable. You will still feel irritation, frustration, and indignation. That is normal. What changes is your capacity to respond deliberately, to prevent destructive impulses from dictating outcomes. You reclaim authority over yourself. You reclaim authority over your circumstances. Far from being powerless, you wield one of the most overlooked tools of success, controlled emotion. You might think controlling anger means passivity or weakness. In reality, it is strategic aggression channeled through clarity. It is strength disguised as patience. It is power exercised without chaos. Historical examples prove this repeatedly. Leaders who paused and acted deliberately outperformed those who gave into rage. Athletes who controlled frustration in the heat of competition often outlasted more naturally talented but impulsive rivals. Entrepreneurs who managed emotional volatility built companies while competitors burned out. This is not coincidence. It is cause and effect. The more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. When provoked, your mind no longer reflexively latches onto anger. You pause. You breathe. You assess. You respond deliberately. And every time you do this, you train your nervous system, build trust with others, and preserve the energy needed for decisive action. The benefits compound. Control over anger equals control over life. So internalize this principle. Every moment of anger is a crossroads. React, and you fall into a trap. Respond, and you rise above it. Repeat it daily. Practice it relentlessly. Embed it in your life. Anger is a trap. Calm is freedom. Let this mantra guide your decisions, your words, and your actions. You have now learned to identify anger, understand its costs, and practice disciplined responses. You have seen examples from history, leadership, and psychology. You have actionable steps to reclaim power over your emotional impulses. Remember, control over anger is control over outcomes. Control over outcomes is control over destiny. Chapter 4. Fear only gains when you freeze. Whether you like it or not, fear is unavoidable. Every human experiences it. Every high-stakes situation triggers it. The real question is not whether fear appears. It will, but how you respond when it does. Ordinary minds freeze. They panic. They react impulsively. Calm, disciplined minds do something different. They acknowledge fear, analyze it, and act deliberately. Fear is information. Panic is weakness. Repeat it. Let it sink in. Let it guide every decision you make in the face of pressure. Fear is a biological response. It triggers the amygdala, floods your body with adrenaline, and primes you for fight, flight, or freeze. This is not optional. It is automatic. But the problem is not fear itself. It is surrendering to it. When you allow fear to dictate your actions, you relinquish control over your circumstances. When you learn to experience fear without being dominated by it, you unlock one of the most powerful advantages life offers: composure under pressure. Not because fear disappears, but because mastery is born in the pause. Consider firefighters confronting a blazing building. Every second counts. The smoke is thick. Flames consume everything around them. Ordinary fear would cause hesitation. The mind would freeze. But seasoned firefighters compartmentalize fear. They follow their training. They move deliberately. Their fear is present, acknowledged, and analyzed. It is information. This fire is hot. The structure is unstable. My path is here. Panic, on the other hand, is weakness. It clouds judgment, wastes time, and can kill. Discipline transforms fear from a paralyzing emotion into actionable intelligence. Not only does fear affect life or death scenarios, but it also shapes everyday decisions. Whether in business, personal life, or social interactions, those who freeze when fear arises fail to act when it matters most. Entrepreneurs hesitate to pitch ideas. Leaders fail to make difficult decisions. Athletes miss crucial plays. Far from being mere discomfort, fear can quietly sabotage your entire trajectory. What we need is not the absence of fear, but mastery over its influence. History provides stark lessons. Winston Churchill, during the Blitz, faced constant fear for his country, his people, and himself. He wrote in the Second World War, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen." Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting despite fear. Churchill did not freeze. He assessed the situation, processed the threat, and acted with strategy and authority. The calm, not the reckless, changed the course of history. Practical strategies for managing fear start with recognition. Identify fear early: racing heartbeat, shallow breathing, tightening muscles. Say internally, fear is information. Panic is weakness. Step 2. Analyze the threat rationally. Ask yourself, what is real danger and what is perceived? Step 3. Compartmentalize. Segregate emotion from action. Firefighters, soldiers, and elite performers all use this method. They acknowledge fear exists, but it does not dictate their behavior. Step 4. Execute deliberate action. Make decisions based on assessment, not anxiety. Repeat the mantra to reinforce neural pathways, transforming automatic panic into practiced composure. Don't just take my word for it. Look at soldiers in combat zones. Navy SEALs operate under extreme stress, often facing life or death scenarios where hesitation can mean death. Training is brutal, designed not to eliminate fear but to teach soldiers to act despite it. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL and author of Discipline Equals Freedom, emphasizes, fear is an opportunity to execute discipline. The more disciplined you are, the less fear controls you. Notice that fear is unavoidable, but surrender to it is optional. Discipline converts fear into a tactical advantage. The more important issue is understanding the consequences of allowing fear to dominate. Panic leads to mistakes. Mistakes compound under pressure. Opportunities are lost. Momentum is destroyed. Not because fear itself is lethal, but because uncontrolled fear is destructive. Entrepreneurs who freeze during critical negotiations miss deals worth millions. Leaders who panic in crises undermine entire organizations. Athletes who succumb to fear lose championships. The pattern is universal. Panic is weakness. Composed action is power. It's easy to say, be brave, but harder to embody bravery when your body is flooded with adrenaline and your mind screams for safety. Bravery is not an instinct. It is cultivated. Visualization is a critical tool. Before high-pressure events, imagine worst-case scenarios. Imagine fear surging. Then rehearse deliberate, controlled responses. Olympians do this before every final. CEOs do this before every investor pitch. Soldiers do this before every operation. The brain learns the pattern. Fear will arise, but calm, rational action prevails. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of mastery. You might think fear is purely a mental battle, but in reality, the body and mind are inseparable. Controlling breathing, posture, and micro-movements stabilizes the mind. Box breathing. Inhale 4 counts, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Slows the heart rate and signals calm to the brain. Physical control creates mental control. If we don't address both mind and body, fear retains its power. Just as the calm firefighter moves through smoke without hesitation, so too must you train both body and mind to act despite fear. Fear also has a social dimension. People often fear judgment, rejection, or failure more than the actual event. Far from being trivial, this fear dictates careers, relationships, and personal growth. Public speaking, confronting toxic behavior, asking for promotions, these are arenas where ordinary minds freeze. The calm, however, acknowledge fear, process it, and act. The principle remains: fear is information. Panic is weakness. Internalize this. Practice it. Let it become instinctive. Historical and contemporary leaders, athletes, and performers repeatedly demonstrate the payoff of fear mastery. Elon Musk, despite facing repeated failures and public scrutiny, acts decisively. Serena Williams, despite high-stakes matches and immense pressure, executes skillfully. Both feel fear, but they do not surrender to it. The pattern is consistent. Fear is universal, but control is exceptional. If we want to be exceptional, we must learn to feel fear without freezing. So internalize this lesson. Every surge of fear is an opportunity to exercise discipline. Every time you pause, breathe, assess, and act despite fear, you reclaim authority over your life. Panic is weakness. Fear is information. Act deliberately, and you convert fear into advantage. Repeat it. Practice it. Embed it in your decisions. This is not optional for winners. It is essential. You have now learned to recognize fear, understand its utility, and act despite its presence. You have seen examples from firefighters, soldiers, Churchill, and elite performers. You have actionable strategies: recognition, analysis, compartmentalization, execution, and repetition of the mantra. Fear no longer dictates your actions. You control it, and control is power. Chapter 5. Master your breath, master your brain. Whether you like it or not, your body and your mind are inseparable. One drives the other. The real question is not whether you feel stress, it's whether stress controls you. Far too many people believe that mental clarity comes purely from thought. They focus on mindset alone. In reality, control over your body, specifically your breath, is the most direct path to control over your mind. One breath, one moment, one decision. Repeat it. Etch it into your consciousness. This is not optional for high performers. It is essential. Breathing is a hidden lever of power. When you are under pressure, your nervous system floods your body with adrenaline. Your heart races. Thoughts scatter. Judgment falters. Panic rises. It is not that the situation itself is overwhelming. It's that your body has hijacked your mind. This is where mastery begins. By controlling your breath, you trigger a cascade of physiological changes. Heart rate slows, focus sharpens, decision-making improves. Physical control triggers mental control. It is simple, it is immediate, and it is effective. Not only does breath control improve clarity, but it also strengthens emotional resilience. Consider elite athletes. Novak Djokovic, in his post-match interviews, emphasizes the importance of breathing routines between points. When tension escalates, when the crowd screams, when the match teeters on a knife's edge, he does not allow chaos to dictate action. He breathes. He pauses. He refocuses. One breath. One moment. One decision. This principle extends beyond sports into every high-pressure scenario: business meetings, negotiations, personal confrontations, emergency responses. Breath is your anchor. Let's be practical. The most widely used technique is box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold for 4. Repeat. Count it out. Feel the air fill your lungs. Sense the body relax. Feel the mind slow. It may feel awkward at first. That's natural. Discipline always feels awkward in the beginning. The more you practice, the faster your nervous system adapts. You learn to create calm at will, even in chaos. One breath. one moment, one decision. Not because breathing is magical, but because it directly communicates with the autonomic nervous system. Science confirms it. Controlled breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response, which counters the fight-or-flight reaction triggered by stress. Heart rate drops. Cortisol levels decrease. Focus increases. This is not theory, it is biology. The body and mind are connected. If we don't regulate one, we cannot master the other. Far from being subtle, this is a strategic advantage the calm use to outperform the frantic. Consider firefighters and military operatives. When faced with life-threatening situations, their training emphasizes micropauses and breath control before action. Jumping in without preparation can be fatal. Breathing slows thought, sharpens focus, and allows compartmentalization of fear. In extreme heat or under enemy fire, the difference between panic and controlled action is literally life and death. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, states in Discipline Equals Freedom, control your body, control your mind. It is as simple and as difficult as that. The principle is universal. Mastery over breath equals mastery over thought. It's easy to say, just breathe, but harder to implement when pressure peaks. The more important issue is consistency. The calm do not breathe deliberately only once a week. They integrate it into every high-stakes moment. In boardrooms, they micro-pause before responding. In negotiations, they inhale before speaking. In competitions, they exhale before acting. They transform ordinary decisions into deliberate, calculated actions. Discipline in breathing equals discipline in life. One breath, one moment, one decision. Let's examine another technique, micropauses. Count silently to 3 before responding to a provocation. Even 1 second of deliberate pause can prevent a cascade of poor decisions. You may think 1 second is trivial, but in reality, it is the difference between reaction and response. It is the margin that separates regret from authority, panic from composure, chaos from control. Far from being passive, this is active mastery in motion. Don't just take my word for it. Look at business leaders who perform under intense scrutiny. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, often pauses deliberately before responding to challenging questions or high-pressure decisions. The pause is not indecision, it is calculated composure. It prevents emotional hijacking and allows strategic response. Physical control, breath, posture, micropause, creates mental control. This principle is universal, across sports, business, and leadership. Those who master it succeed consistently. Those who ignore it falter unpredictably. It's not that the calm never experience stress. They do. It's that they refuse to surrender to it. Breath control and micropauses are tools that allow action despite fear, pressure, or urgency. This is about more than self-regulation. It's about reclaiming authority over outcomes. Every decision, every reaction, every step forward is influenced by the state of your nervous system. You are either responding with control or reacting under chaos. One breath, one moment, one decision. The more you integrate these practices, the more instinctive they become. In emergencies, your body will automatically revert to deliberate breathing. In conflict, you will micropause naturally before speaking. In pressure, you will execute decisions with clarity rather than impulse. The habit compounds. Calm becomes default. Panic becomes optional. Discipline over breath is the foundation of discipline over action, emotion, and destiny. Historical examples reinforce this. Winston Churchill's ability to lead Britain through the Blitz was not because he lacked stress, it was because he maintained composure. Navy SEALs operate under extreme duress by controlling breath and body. Elite athletes rely on this principle to perform when stakes are highest. The principle is the same. Mastery over your body generates mastery over your mind, and mastery over your mind generates mastery over outcomes. Internalize this principle. One breath is all it takes to reclaim control. One moment is all it takes to prevent a cascade of mistakes. One decision is all it takes to redirect your trajectory. Practice it relentlessly. Embed it into your nervous system. Repeat the mantra, one breath, one moment, one decision. Let it guide every high-stakes choice, every pressure-filled interaction, every critical juncture in life. This is the foundation of calm, composure, and success. You have now learned the direct link between breath, mind, and action. You have practiced micro-pauses, box breathing, and deliberate control. You have seen examples from athletes, business leaders, military operatives, and historical figures. You have actionable steps to transform fear, stress, and pressure into clarity, authority, and deliberate action. Chapter 6. Observe, don't absorb. Whether you like it or not, the world around you carries an emotional charge. Emotions are contagious. Anger, panic, frustration, and fear spread faster than facts. Ordinary people absorb these energies unconsciously, letting chaos dictate their decisions. Calm, disciplined individuals do something radically different. They observe, they assess, they act, but they do not absorb. See it. Don't feel it. Move it. Repeat it. Let it anchor your decision-making, because mastery of the external emotional environment is the hidden lever of influence, control, and success. The real question is not whether chaos exists. It always does, but whether you allow it to invade your mind. Most people think they are neutral observers, yet they carry the emotional residue of every interaction. The irritability of a coworker, the fear of a client, the anxiety of a friend. Far from being harmless, this residue affects clarity, reasoning, and ultimately results. It clouds judgment. It hijacks decisions. It undermines composure. What we need is not a shield built from avoidance, but a disciplined practice of observation without absorption. Consider top negotiators. Chris Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator, emphasizes in Never Split the difference the importance of emotional neutrality. A negotiator's success is determined not by empathy alone, but by controlling which emotions they internalize. If they absorb the fear, panic, or anger of the opposing party, their judgment falters, and leverage is lost. If they observe, acknowledge, and manipulate without internalizing, they retain strategic control. The calm do not ignore the storm. They move within it with clarity. It's easy to say, stay detached, but harder to implement when emotions are screaming around you. The more important issue is consistent practice. Observation is not passive, it is active. It requires heightened awareness, deliberate mental separation, and constant reinforcement. You must train yourself to notice emotional waves in real time and decide consciously which to internalize. This is about more than self-control. It is about controlling outcomes, steering situations, and maintaining authority. Historical leaders demonstrate this principle vividly. During tense diplomatic negotiations, Henry Kissinger was renowned for his ability to maintain composure while others panicked. He observed each participant's emotional state, understood the underlying motives, and leveraged these insights without absorbing the panic or anger. Not because he lacked awareness, but because he disciplined his responses. The real question is not whether you face strong emotions. It is whether you let them dictate your decisions. Far from being passive, observation without absorption is strategic action in disguise. Let's bring it to practical steps. Step 1. Recognize the emotional energy in your environment. Notice shifts in tone, posture, and urgency. Step 2. Label it mentally. This is anger. This is fear. This is excitement. Step 3. Separate your internal state from the external chaos. Say internally, see it. Don't feel it. Move it. Step 4. Act deliberately, using information from observation, not emotional contamination. Repeat the process consistently. Over time, emotional neutrality becomes instinctive. You might think this approach creates distance or detachment from human connection. In reality, it enhances influence. Observing without absorbing allows clarity in response, better decision-making, and strategic advantage. Top diplomats, CEOs, and negotiators understand this intuitively. They do not mirror every emotional spike. They do not react impulsively to external pressure. They absorb what is necessary, discard the rest, and manipulate outcomes intentionally. Discipline over emotional absorption equals authority over results. Real-world example. Hostage situations demonstrate this vividly. When emotions run high, captors may scream, threaten, or attempt manipulation. Ordinary responders can absorb panic and escalate mistakes. Elite negotiators, however, maintain an inner calm. They observe each change in tone, each flicker of fear, and respond deliberately. Internal absorption is avoided. The principle repeats: see it, don't feel it, move it. Success depends on separating observation from internalization. It's not that emotions cease to exist. They do not, but disciplined observation allows them to be processed as information, not as a threat. The sympathetic nervous system may still respond, adrenaline may still surge, but the mind remains clear. Conscious awareness becomes the buffer between chaos and action. Far from being passive, this skill turns emotional turbulence into a competitive advantage. It is the calm within the storm that creates the leverage others miss. Consider business leaders under pressure. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, often navigates tense boardroom debates where opinions clash and stakes are high. He observes, notes emotional currents, and responds strategically without letting the surrounding stress influence his judgment. The calm negotiator, the composed leader, the neutral observer. These are the traits that consistently produce results where others falter. Emotional absorption is optional. Emotional mastery is mandatory. Not because ignoring emotions is effective, but because disciplined observation maximizes clarity and control. The calm individual treats external emotions as data points, not directives. Anger does not provoke, panic does not control, chaos does not derail. Observation without absorption is not denial. It is the ultimate tool of influence. You remain fully present, fully aware, fully effective. The more you practice, the more instinctive this skill becomes. When a colleague rages, you notice without flinching. When a client panics, you assess without absorbing. When external pressure rises, your internal calm remains. This is not accidental. It is disciplined, repeated, and deliberate. You are no longer at the mercy of others' emotional states. You have created an internal command center. See it. Don't feel it. Move it. Historical and contemporary examples reinforce this. Churchill during wartime, Kissinger in diplomacy, elite negotiators in life-or-death situations, top CEOs in crisis, all demonstrate that mastery over external emotional chaos is a predictor of success. You may think emotions control outcomes, but in reality, disciplined observation is far more powerful than any emotional spike. Far from being passive, this principle converts awareness into leverage, chaos into clarity, and pressure into decisive action. Internalize this. Every emotional spike in your environment is an opportunity to exercise discipline. Do not absorb the anger, fear, or panic around you. Observe it. Label it. Separate it from your own mind. Use it strategically. Repeat the mantra. See it. Don't feel it. Move it. This is the skill that keeps you calm, deliberate, and always in control when others lose themselves in chaos. You have now learned to recognize emotional turbulence, maintain neutrality, and act deliberately. You have seen examples from negotiators, diplomats, historical leaders, and business figures. You have actionable steps: recognize, label, separate, act. Mastery over external chaos is mastery over outcomes. You remain calm when others falter, deliberate when others panic, and strategic when others are reactive. Chapter 7. Predict the storm and prepare. Whether you like it or not, life is full of storms. Financial crashes, interpersonal conflicts, career upheavals, unexpected emergencies. These are inevitable. The real question is not whether storms appear. They will, but whether you anticipate them and prepare. Far too many people live in reactive mode. They wait for chaos to hit and then flail. Calm, disciplined individuals do the opposite. They foresee, they plan, and they execute. Foresee, plan, execute. Repeat it. Let it become instinctive. This is the core distinction between winners and victims. It's not about avoiding risk. It's about controlling your response to it. When chaos strikes, the mind naturally reacts with fear, panic, or anger. Ordinary people respond emotionally. They make impulsive decisions that amplify damage. Calm people predict challenges before they arrive, mentally rehearse responses, and create contingencies. This isn't theoretical. It is actionable, measurable, and repeatable. Discipline in anticipation equals resilience in execution. Consider investors during market volatility. Warren Buffett repeatedly emphasizes in The Intelligent Investor, Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. This is not a suggestion to ignore risk. It is a strategy to anticipate the storm, prepare mentally and financially, and act deliberately. Ordinary investors panic during market dips, sell at a loss, and compound failure. Buffett foresees turbulence, prepares with calculated moves, and executes when opportunity aligns. The lesson is clear: foresight beats reaction every time. Not only does anticipating challenges prevent emotional eruptions, but it also creates leverage. When you prepare mentally for adversity, fear loses its grip. Stress becomes manageable, and decisions retain clarity. Think of elite athletes before championship games. Coaches simulate hostile conditions, hostile crowds, and unexpected scenarios. Players are not surprised by pressure. They have rehearsed it mentally. What we need is not luck, but preparation. Not hope, but discipline. Let's break this down into practical steps. Step 1. Visualize potential scenarios. Investors, athletes, negotiators, and leaders all use this method. Ask yourself, what could go wrong? How might others react? What is within my control? Step 2. Create a plan. Develop responses to each plausible scenario. Step 3. Rehearse mentally or physically, ensuring that responses are automatic when pressure arises. Step 4. Act decisively. A prepared mind sees opportunity in adversity, while the unprepared mind panics. Repeat the mantra: foresee, plan, execute. It embeds foresight as habit. Don't just take my word for it. Look at historical examples. During the 2008 financial crisis, investors like Ray Dalio thrived because they anticipated market turbulence. They had studied patterns, stress-tested portfolios, and rehearsed decisions under stress. Ordinary investors panicked, sold indiscriminately, and lost fortunes. The calm ones foresaw the storm, prepared their responses, and acted when conditions demanded. Far from being lucky, they were disciplined. It's easy to underestimate preparation, but harder to implement under the illusion of stability. The more important issue is not how you react to easy days. It's how you perform during disruptions. Ordinary minds assume constancy. Disciplined minds anticipate disruption. They understand the cyclical nature of markets, relationships, and life itself. Whether it's a business deal, a critical conversation, or a personal setback, anticipating challenges preserves control. Consider military strategy. Sun Tzu, in The Art of War, repeatedly emphasizes anticipation. He who knows the enemy and knows himself will not be endangered in 100 battles. Preparation reduces chaos to data. It converts uncertainty into actionable insight. Ordinary soldiers react. Elite commanders anticipate. Just as a captain charts the course to avoid storms at sea, so too must you anticipate adversity to maintain composure and control. It's not that preparation eliminates stress. It doesn't, but it reduces unnecessary emotional spikes. Fear becomes informative rather than paralyzing. You act from strategy, not from instinctive panic. The calm are not immune to chaos. They are inoculated against it. Preparation converts emotional volatility into calculated decision-making. Far from being passive, foresight is an active discipline that shapes outcomes before they unfold. Practical examples abound in everyday life. Consider a manager leading a critical project. By anticipating bottlenecks, resourcing gaps, and interpersonal conflicts, they prevent crises before they occur. Employees panic less because leadership is prepared. Deadlines are met. The project succeeds. Ordinary managers react to problems after they explode, creating stress and inefficiency. Discipline in anticipating challenges equals authority, credibility, and results. You might think this approach requires excessive planning or overthinking. In reality, it requires selective foresight. Focus on plausible high-impact events. Rehearse responses. Create contingencies. The goal is not perfection, it is composure. Predict, prepare, and execute deliberately. One missed contingency is far better than reactive chaos. Repeat the mantra: foresee, plan, execute. Let it guide your decision-making, embed it into your daily preparation, and you will act decisively when others hesitate. Not because life always follows your plan, but because discipline under pressure ensures that your responses are never dictated by fear. It is easy to act when conditions are perfect. It is hard to act when conditions are chaotic. Ordinary people crumble under unanticipated stress. Prepared people thrive because they predicted the storm and rehearsed their response. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of mastery over life's unpredictability. Historical examples reinforce this truth. Investors who foresaw market volatility prosper. Military commanders who anticipated enemy maneuvers prevail. Athletes who visualized game day scenarios dominate championships. Business leaders who modeled crises achieve long-term success. Far from being reactive, they embody foresight, preparation, and deliberate execution. Ordinary people allow events to dictate outcomes. Disciplined people dictate outcomes by anticipating events. Internalize this. Every challenge is an opportunity to exercise foresight. Every potential crisis is an opportunity to prepare mentally, emotionally, and strategically. Each time you foresee, plan, and execute deliberately, you reclaim authority over outcomes. Panic is optional. Discipline is mandatory. Foresee. Plan. Execute. Repeat it until it becomes instinctive. Let this principle guide your actions, protect your composure, and amplify your influence when adversity strikes. You have now learned the value of anticipating storms, creating contingency plans, and executing deliberately. You have seen examples from investors, historical leaders, athletes, and military strategy. You have actionable steps: visualize, plan, rehearse, and act. Mastery over anticipation is mastery over outcomes. Calm people predict and prepare. Ordinary people react and falter. You have begun to foresee, plan, and execute. Now, let's explore the next pillar of calm mastery: controlling the inner critic and self-doubt under pressure. Chapter 8. Silence the inner critic before it explodes. Whether you like it or not, the loudest voice you will ever hear is the one inside your own head. Inner dialogue dictates emotional stability. Panic, anger, indecision, hesitation. All of these emerge first as thoughts, and thoughts become actions. Far too many people allow their inner critic to run unchecked. They obsess over failure, magnify pressure, and spiral into self-sabotage. Calm, disciplined individuals do the opposite. They silence the voice before it explodes. I control the voice within. It does not control me. Repeat it. Let it resonate, because mastery over your internal dialogue is the foundation of mastery over your external reality. It's easy to blame circumstances for chaos, but the real question is not what happens to you. It's what happens inside you first. Your internal narrative shapes every reaction, every choice, every outcome. Just as external storms trigger panic when unprepared, internal storms, the doubt, fear, and criticism in your mind, trigger chaos if unregulated. Far from being harmless, an unchecked inner critic sabotages clarity, confidence, and action. Discipline over internal dialogue equals authority over emotion. Consider elite performers. Olympic athletes, Navy SEALs, and world-class musicians constantly battle their internal voices. Michael Jordan, in Ray Air, described countless moments before critical games where fear whispered doubt, yet he disciplined his mind to focus on action, not panic. Serena Williams often talks about blocking out the noise before crucial points. It's not that fear disappears, it's that they neutralize the inner saboteur before it dictates their performance. One thought can make or break your next decision, whether in sport, business, or life. Let's be practical. Step 1. Identify the voice. Notice recurring patterns of self-criticism. I can't do this. I'm not ready. I'll fail. Label them. Step 2. Challenge the voice deliberately. Ask, is this true? Is it helpful? What is the evidence? Step 3. Replace it with a disciplined mantra. I control the voice within. It does not control me. Step 4. Reinforce the mantra through repetition, especially in high-pressure moments. This is not meditation. It is mental combat training. Over time, your inner critic loses authority. Not only does silencing the inner critic reduce panic, but it also accelerates action. Ordinary people hesitate because they second-guess every decision. They replay every possible failure in endless loops, eroding confidence. Calm people act decisively because their internal narrative is disciplined. They do not ignore fear. They manage it. They do not erase doubt. They convert it into actionable insight. Discipline over thought transforms fear from a blocker into a signal. One mantra: I control the voice within. It does not control me. You might think this is easy. Just speak a mantra, and the mind will obey. In reality, this is one of the hardest disciplines to master. Your mind is wired for negativity. It scans for threats, magnifies risk, and dwells on failure. The more important issue is not silencing the mind once, but training it relentlessly. Mental discipline requires repetition, observation, and active replacement of self-sabotaging patterns. This isn't a one-time fix. It's a lifestyle of internal authority. Historical examples reinforce this principle. Winston Churchill, facing the Blitz, famously spoke of summoning courage in private before rallying the public. He disciplined the inner dialogue to maintain composure, even when fear threatened to paralyze him. Entrepreneurs like Elon Musk describe moments of extreme doubt and pressure, yet they deliberately redirect internal critique into strategic focus. Not because their challenges were smaller, but because they mastered the narrative within. Far from being passive, internal discipline is proactive action against emotional collapse. Practical techniques enhance mastery. Visualization is one tool. Imagine a scenario where panic is likely to emerge. Hear the inner critic speak. Practice responding with calm authority. I control the voice within. It does not control me. Micropauses also help. Before reacting to stressful emails, high-pressure meetings, or sudden conflict, inhale deeply, repeat your mantra, and act deliberately. Over time, this process converts instinctive panic into conscious response. The brain adapts to calm, not chaos. Consider the role of self-talk in high-stakes negotiations. Chris Voss, in Never Split the Difference, emphasizes labeling emotions and using internal dialogue to maintain neutrality. Negotiators anticipate pressure, feel the internal fear, but control it through disciplined thought. Ordinary negotiators react impulsively, responding to the internal critic's panic. Elite negotiators maintain composure, neutralize fear internally, and act strategically. The pattern repeats. Control the voice within, and external results follow. It's not that the inner critic disappears entirely. It will always be present, but disciplined management neutralizes its disruptive power. Anxiety becomes data, not directive. Fear becomes a signal, not a dictator. Action follows clarity, not chaos. Far from being passive, this discipline is active leadership over your own mind. One internal lapse can derail decisions. One controlled moment can seize advantage. Discipline over thought is the ultimate leverage in life under pressure. Let's apply this to daily life. Before presentations, high-stakes meetings, or personal challenges, identify self-sabotaging thoughts. Challenge them. Replace them with authority. Reinforce through repetition. Over weeks, the mind rewires. When chaos hits externally, your internal dialogue remains disciplined. Decisions are deliberate. Composure is automatic. Fear is informative, not paralyzing. Panic is optional. Discipline is mandatory. Repeat. I control the voice within. It does not control me. No one can deny that self-doubt exists, but what's often overlooked is that the inner critic is negotiable. It can be trained, challenged, and redirected. Elite performers do not eliminate doubt. They harness it. Ordinary people allow doubt to dictate outcomes. Far from being a weakness, internal discipline converts emotional volatility into strategic clarity, reinforcing calm mastery under any pressure. Repetition is your ally. One mantra: I control the voice within. It does not control me. You have now learned to identify, challenge, and silence the inner critic before it explodes. You have seen examples from athletes, historical leaders, entrepreneurs, and elite negotiators. You have actionable steps. Identify the voice, label it, replace it with disciplined thought, reinforce it through repetition. Mastery over internal dialogue is mastery over emotional stability. Calm people act decisively. Ordinary people falter. Chapter 9. Turn pressure into power. Whether you like it or not, pressure is inevitable. Deadlines, crises, high-stakes decisions, unexpected emergencies, they arrive unannounced. The real question is not whether pressure exists. It always will, but whether you convert it into power or let it crush you. Far too many people view stress as an enemy, a force to resist, or a weight to endure. Calm, disciplined individuals see it differently. They recognize pressure as raw energy, untamed and neutral until shaped by your mind. Pressure is fuel. Calm is ignition. Repeat it. Let it resonate, because transforming stress into decisive action separates winners from the rest. It's easy to say, stay calm under pressure, but harder to actually harness it. Ordinary minds react. They freeze, panic, or lash out. Elite minds convert energy into focus, decisiveness, and speed. What we need is not to eliminate pressure. It's impossible, but rather to channel it deliberately. Athletes, soldiers, and leaders do this instinctively. They feel the surge of adrenaline, notice the spike of cortisol, and redirect it into precise, controlled action. Calm is not passive. It is the ignition that converts potential chaos into momentum. Consider athletes in clutch situations. Kobe Bryant, in The Mamba Mentality, describes how, during the final seconds of a tied championship game, adrenaline surged, yet he trained to convert that raw energy into flawless execution. Ordinary players panic, rush, and fail. Kobe focused on breath, vision, and mechanics, transforming pressure into performance. Not because he ignored fear, but because he disciplined it. Repetition ingrains this skill. Pressure is fuel. Calm is ignition. Leaders face similar high-pressure moments. Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger, landing U.S. Airways Flight 1549 on the Hudson River, experienced unimaginable stress. Passengers' lives were at stake. Panic could have paralyzed him. But decades of training, rehearsal, and mental discipline allowed him to convert raw stress into calm, precise action. Every movement was deliberate. Pressure did not break him. It became fuel. The lesson is clear. Calmness under pressure is not optional. It is the difference between disaster and triumph. The more important issue is not simply performing under pressure. It is training your mind to recognize pressure as an ally rather than a threat. Step 1. Acknowledge the presence of stress without resistance. Step 2. Interpret the surge of energy as fuel. Step 3. Anchor your mind through focused breathing, visualization, or a mental mantra. Step 4. Act deliberately, letting the energy enhance rather than sabotage performance. Over time, this process rewires the nervous system to treat pressure as an advantage rather than a liability. You might think this is purely psychological, but in reality, it is physiological and mental combined. Stress triggers the release of adrenaline and cortisol. Left unchecked, these hormones impair decision-making and clarity. Harnessed, they sharpen focus, quicken reflexes, and heighten awareness. The real question is not how much pressure you feel, but how effectively you convert it into action. Ordinary people let hormones dictate their performance. Calm, disciplined individuals control the ignition. Practical techniques are essential. Box breathing, micro-pauses, and pre-performance visualization allow individuals to convert the initial surge of stress into controlled output. Navy SEALs, for example, rehearse high-stress scenarios repeatedly. When real missions arise, adrenaline floods the body, but practiced mental anchors prevent chaos. Every action becomes deliberate. Every decision becomes precise. Ordinary people react. Disciplined performers convert pressure into power. Repeat the mantra. Pressure is fuel. Calm is ignition. Historical examples reinforce this principle. During World War II, Winston Churchill faced relentless bombing raids. Fear, stress, and urgency were constant companions. Yet he used that pressure to fuel determination, decisive leadership, and strategic action. Ordinary leaders might have panicked or frozen. Churchill transformed stress into focus, direction, and authority. Far from being passive, pressure became the ignition of decisive action, shaping outcomes in history. Not only does mastering pressure improve performance, it protects clarity. Ordinary people allow stress to narrow focus, tunnel vision, and amplify mistakes. Elite performers use stress to heighten perception, expand situational awareness, and accelerate response. Consider Serena Williams during championship points. The roar of tens of thousands, the weight of expectation, the physical strain, ordinary minds would crumble. Serena converts all that pressure into single-minded focus, fluid execution, and mental dominance. Calm is not absence of pressure, it is its transformation. It's not that stress disappears. It doesn't. but your response dictates results. Far from being passive, pressure becomes a lever. Adrenaline, fear, and urgency are tools, not enemies. Discipline converts energy into momentum. The more pressure you anticipate and experience, the stronger your ability to harness it. Ordinary people avoid stress. Winners embrace it as fuel. Pressure is fuel. Calm is ignition. Repeat it until instinctive, until your nervous system responds automatically, and you ignite instead of freeze. Practical application in business, personal life, and high-stakes scenarios mirrors these lessons. CEOs facing sudden crises, surgeons performing life-saving procedures, and athletes executing in final moments all rely on the same principle: transform pressure into power. Step 1. Mental rehearsal. Step 2. Controlled breathing. Step 3. Deliberate action. Step 4. Reinforce through repetition. Step 5. Reflection post-action to calibrate for next challenge. Pressure is data. Calm converts it into performance. Ordinary people react. Disciplined individuals ignite. You might think this approach is reserved for elite performers, but in reality, it applies universally. High-pressure emails, sudden life challenges, interpersonal conflict, unexpected opportunities, all are fuel. Channel them. Convert nervous energy into laser focus. Use heightened adrenaline to act decisively. Turn fear into insight. Transform hesitation into movement. Discipline under pressure equals authority over outcome. You have now learned to recognize stress as an ally, harness the physiological and mental energy it produces, and convert it into deliberate, powerful action. You have seen examples from Kobe Bryant, Sully Sullenberger, Serena Williams, Winston Churchill, and Navy SEALs. You have actionable steps: acknowledge stress, convert it into fuel, anchor through calm, act deliberately, and repeat. Mastery over pressure is mastery over results. Ordinary people collapse under stress. Calm, disciplined people ignite. You have begun turning pressure into power. Now, let's move to the final chapter and tie all these principles together for ultimate mastery. Chapter 10. The calm wins every battle. Whether you like it or not, life is relentless. Chaos arrives unannounced. Pressure mounts, fear whispers, anger threatens to erupt, doubt gnaws, and the unexpected becomes routine. The real question is not whether storms strike, they always will, but whether you will remain calm inside, commanding your life instead of being swept away. Far too many people react, panic, and collapse. Calm, disciplined individuals operate differently. They do not wait for clarity, they create it. The storm rages outside, but victory lives inside the calm. Repeat it. Let it resonate, because mastery over your mind is mastery over every battlefield life places before you. It's easy to say, stay calm, but harder to live it consistently. Ordinary people react impulsively. They allow emotion to dictate outcomes. What we need is not just awareness, but a systematic practice of composure. Pause, breathe, observe, respond. Far from being passive, this sequence is the engine that converts uncertainty into opportunity. Every principle you've learned, controlling your mind, managing reactions, silencing the inner critic, transforming pressure, feeds into this system. Calm is the currency of winners. Consider leaders in history. Winston Churchill, facing the Blitz, never allowed fear to dictate his strategy. Every decision was deliberate. Every speech measured. Every movement precise. Ordinary leaders panicked and yielded to chaos. Churchill converted stress into focus and action. Not because he was fearless, but because he mastered the system of composure. The more important issue is not the presence of external pressure, it's mastery over internal response. Calm is tactical power in motion. You might think calmness is passive. It isn't. Calm is strategic. The calm assess before reacting. The calm weigh before choosing. The calm see opportunity when others only see threat. Look at Jeff Bezos during Amazon's early days. When competitors panicked over logistics, customer complaints, or market uncertainty, he maintained clarity, observing, analyzing, and responding deliberately. Ordinary entrepreneurs reacted. Bezos converted the storm into decisive growth. Calm is not absence of challenge. It is control under challenge. Step 1 of the system: pause. When chaos arrives, stop. Do not react immediately. Pause. Let the initial surge of adrenaline pass, just enough to prevent impulsive action. Step 2. Breathe. Focused, controlled breathing lowers heart rate, sharpens focus, and signals to your body that the threat is manageable. Step 3. Observe. Take in the situation objectively, without judgment, without panic. Step 4. Respond. Act deliberately, guided by strategy and insight, not emotion. Repeat this sequence, and it becomes instinctive. This is not theory. It is a repeatable, life-tested system. No one can deny that emotions are powerful, but what's often overlooked is that their influence can be harnessed rather than feared. Anger, fear, doubt, and urgency can fuel decision-making, clarity, and momentum, but only if controlled. Olympic athletes use this every day. Michael Phelps, in No Limits, describes how pre-race routines anchor the mind, converting excitement and anxiety into laser focus. Ordinary athletes react to nerves, champions harness them. The principle repeats: control internally, act externally. Historical and contemporary examples reinforce this. Military commanders, business leaders, emergency responders, and elite performers attribute success not to luck, but to emotional mastery. Navy SEALs face life-or-death pressure. Surgeons operate under extreme stress. CEOs negotiate billion-dollar deals, all relying on calm command of internal systems. Far from being innate talent, this is a repeatable, trainable method. Pause, breathe, observe, respond. Discipline is cultivated, not inherited. It's easy to underestimate small, consistent practices, but harder to recover after an emotional eruption. Ordinary people explode once and pay for it repeatedly. Calm individuals prevent escalation by enforcing control internally before action externally. Just as a pilot stabilizes the plane before landing in turbulence, so too must you stabilize your mind before acting. Pause. Breathe. Observe. Respond. Repeat. One internal lapse can be catastrophic. One disciplined moment can seize opportunity. Calm wins every time. Practical application spans all areas of life. In personal relationships, pause before reacting to conflict. Observe motivations, emotions, and triggers. Respond from strategy, not impulse. In business, pause before critical decisions, breathe through stress, evaluate objectively, and act with insight. In emergencies, compartmentalize adrenaline, observe the environment, and execute decisively. Ordinary people crumble, calm people prevail. The system works everywhere because internal discipline dictates external outcomes. You might think this requires perfect conditions. It does not. Life is unpredictable. Crises, stress, fear, and doubt will arise. Whether you like it or not, you will be tested. Far from being defeated by chaos, the calm anticipate, prepare, and execute. The calm internalize every previous chapter, controlling mind, shaping reactions, silencing critics, converting pressure into power. The storm rages outside, but victory lives inside the calm. Repetition ingrains this truth into reflexive response. Consider synthesis. Pause prevents impulsive reaction. Breathe restores physiology and focus. Observe gives clarity and perspective. Respond turns insight into action. Together, this sequence forms a command center of the mind. Elite leaders, athletes, entrepreneurs, and warriors all use it. Ordinary people react. Calm individuals dominate. Discipline is not optional. It is mandatory. Master this system, and you master results. The storm rages outside, but victory lives inside the calm. Let's integrate lessons from all chapters. Control your mind before chaos controls you. Respond deliberately. Don't react impulsively. Silence the inner critic. Anticipate storms. Transform pressure into energy. Observe without absorbing chaos. Master your breath. Master your brain. Every principle reinforces the others. Calm is the system, the methodology, and the outcome. Ordinary people fight externally and internally. Winners fight internally first, externally second. Calm wins every battle. Real-world application confirms this principle repeatedly. CEOs managing hostile markets, surgeons operating under pressure, negotiators in tense situations, athletes performing under scrutiny, all rely on internal command before external action. Ordinary participants react, champions orchestrate. The repetition of practice, mental rehearsal, and disciplined response converts uncertainty into authority. Far from being a mental trick, this is operational strategy. Calm is leverage. You might think mastery requires luck or innate talent. In reality, it requires practice, discipline, and unwavering repetition. Every storm faced, every crisis navigated, every pressure moment survived reinforces the system. Your mind becomes the calm command center. The internal narrative dominates over fear, doubt, and chaos. Your actions become deliberate, precise, and effective. Repeat the mantra: the storm rages outside, but victory lives inside the calm. You have now learned the ultimate principle: calm is power. The system, pause, breathe, observe, respond, is repeatable and trainable. Historical leaders, elite athletes, entrepreneurs, and warriors all testify that composure dictates outcome.